another little spooky story to share. So basically I started that story about the gargoyles for a reason. For the one that I saw sitting on a hamper. If you don't know what episode I'm talking about, you can click here. I'll put the previous episode there for like a hot second so you can click there. But the reason why I actually ended up upstairs was particularly because of the man in the black hat. Now, again, I made jokes before that I kind of just don't know why ghosts don't have like an ethereal Kmart of some sort and just kind of have a variety of clothes. But basically, let me start from the very beginning of how I saw this man, whoever he is, right? So again, it was that friend's party, and she was having a Halloween birthday party, right? So we're running around, we're having fun, and at this one particular moment, I had to go run into my room. So let me describe to you how my room looked. My room was like a typical kid's room, very small, very narrow. So when you first walk into the room, right there was my closet door, right there was my bed, and right next to my bed was my window. Now, the reason why the layout of the room is important is because of this. So we're joking around, and she was saying she might have a couple of us like sleep upstairs at her house, you know, but it was a private house, so we were running between her apartment and my apartment, just running amok, right? So when I go into my room, I'm not really paying attention. I'm actually going straight into my closet because I walk through the door and I turn to the closet and I'm like digging in there for something, right? Now, outside of my window was a motion light sensor. So if anyone was walking by, like, okay, light would have cut on, right? So here's the thing. I'm fumbling in the closet and then I see the light go off. I didn't think much of it because I was like, oh, someone's probably outside. Nothing for me to think about. However, when I'm fumbling in my closet, I'm taking out my stuff, I find what I'm looking for and I stop. Out of my peripheral vision, I see a man in the silhouette outside the window. Suddenly, I started paying attention very carefully to the room. So I stopped what I'm holding, I kind of just put it down, and my arms dropped, and I looked, and what I saw was a man, tall enough, because I was on the first floor. She lived above on the second floor of this private house. So in order for the man technically to have been standing the way that the shadow looked outside my in my window, he should have been about probably 7 feet, to be honest with you. Because what I see there is just a silhouette of a man wearing a wide brim hat. Not moving, not doing anything, just standing there. So once you pass my closet, I have a small solid wood desk, right? So now I put down what I'm holding, I put it on the desk, and I'm just staring at it, right? So the light cuts off like most motion light sensors, and I didn't think much about it, but I was still creeped out. So what happens again? Boop, the light cuts back on. So now I'm getting even more creeped out. So I'm feeling uneasy. I didn't know what else to do because there's just a man there. So what I did was I carefully sort of leaned my way so I could see out the blind to see who was standing there, because that's what made sense to me at the time. I don't see anyone, so I'm thinking, obviously I should get closer, right? I'm just like those people in the movies who are like, Billy! It's exactly what I did, right? So I'm walking closer to the window trying to figure out exactly what was going on. And I pushed back the blind, right? And I lifted up, the light's on, no one's standing there. So now I'm freaking out in my head, and I drop the blind and I run out. I go outside the house to where my bedroom window is to see if I saw anyone with a hat outside. So I'm like, someone has to be outside. So I run outside, there's no one there. I double check my windows to see if there's decals in the window because of how lovely my mom would decorate the apartment for Halloween. So I'm thinking maybe she put a new decoration. I thought of everything possible. I run back inside. I go back into my bedroom while everyone's partying and having a look. I'm having a moment completely by myself. So I run back into my bedroom and I'm standing at the door again, and sure enough, ding, the light cuts back on. What do I see? I see the man. I don't see him move. He's just standing there, same silhouette. So now I'm starting to get really uncomfortable because now I'm just like, I just looked outside and there was no one there. I even pictured one of the men that lived in the other apartment who's not tall enough to stand outside my window at the level that he was standing outside of. But I was like, no, it's probably him. He doesn't wear wide brim hats and he's not as tall, but I'm pretty sure it's him. Again, just inputting logic that didn't really make sense. So I'm still just kind of just standing there trying to figure it out. And I go back again to the window because I'm thinking, well, if I see the person out there in the window, I'll catch them, right? Light goes out. Light cuts on, bloop, same shadow, still standing there, right? So now I'm just like, just do it. So I get over there, right? Same thing, nothing. I see the light, there's no one bending down. I'm like looking, I'm trying to figure out. I open my window, there's nobody there. However, the entire time that I'm at the window underneath the blind, I kept feeling like somebody was on my back. Like someone was standing right there, that kind of thing. So as I'm backing up, I'm starting to slowly put my blind down. Here's where it gets uncomfortable because the light goes out and then ding, light cuts back on. So as I'm slowly putting down the blind, I happen to catch out the corner of my eye because I'm kind of like this, like, I don't see anything. And just about as I get here, right, I realize the shadow's on the blind. So now I'm in my head, once I realized what was happening, I look over at the blind, realizing that the man is on the blind. I drop the blind, I freak out, I bolt out of the room. So now, I'm the only kid in the party, suddenly not having fun. I'm just sort of like, what was that? What was that? Like, I am pacing, I'm freaking out. I'm like, what was that? My friend comes up to me. She's like, what's wrong? And I was like, there's a man on the blind. She's like, in the window? I said, no, he's on the blind. He's on the blind. Maybe it's a Halloween decoration. I was like, it's not a decoration, I just checked. So she's like, we'll go together. Let's do this. So we go. So I'm standing by the door because now I've realized that whatever this thing is, it's on my blind. And I kind of just felt like it was toying with me because every time the light would click on, nobody was ever outside. So she's standing there and she's like, I'm gonna check, I see it. So she walks over, she lifts up the blind, nobody's there. She sees no decals, she does the same exact thing that I do. Opens the window. She even thought it was the same guy who doesn't wear hats and would stand creepily at my window. We were trying to blame him so badly. But she's like, he's not there. So while she's doing this, I can't take my eyes off of the fact that I can see the shadow and I see the light, blink, and I see that he's on the blind. And I'm just sort of calling out to her. Let's call her Tiffany. And I'm like, Tiffany, 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 and I'm freaking out because I'm like, you need to come over here now. It's on the blind, it's on the blind, it's on the blind. And I'm backing out of my room, right? So she realizes the same thing. We both bolt out of the room. So now we're just kind of just standing there and now we don't know what to do. Mind you, the adults are having fun. They're like, oh my God, aren't you having a great birthday? And I'm just standing there like, yeah, aren't you having a great birthday, Tiffany? So here's the thing. The window's right next to my bed. So now the party's ending. My mom's like, okay, time for bed. And I'm thinking to myself, I ain't sleeping in there. Not tonight. Can I sleep over at Tiffany's house? It's her birthday. I came up with any excuse necessary, right? Came to regret that later because I saw the gargoyle sitting up there. If you don't know what I'm talking about, again, click up there. And I know some people think like, I saw a couple of dislikes on that video and they must have thought like I'm playing. I'm not playing. When you see a gargoyle, that sets stuff in your soul. So here's the thing about the man with the black hat. So after the whole gargoyle incident happens again, I don't see him. A couple of months go by. It's like springtime, breaking out kind of thing. And I never forgot this. It was on a Saturday afternoon. It was like a bright, I mean bright, you know, like one of those days you come outside, and I know it's a little hard to see because I have tiny eyes, but just please picture that I have open eyes, and it's kind of like when you go outside, you're like, oh yeah, oh, it's a lot happening out there. It was like one of those really bright days, and being the fact that I love to dance, I was in the living room dancing to KTU because I thought I was so cool. I was like, oh my god. Like, you couldn't tell me I wasn't like Janet Jackson. So I was dancing, having a field day. And I'm sorry I keep doing this, but there's like something on my lip, and I know it's one of my hairs. Curly hair problems, right? I'm in there, I'm having fun. My mom is in her bedroom, right? So the layout of the room, and I'm actually going to bring up a movie because it's the first time that I actually saw something in a movie that emulated exactly what I saw. So the way how that apartment was set up, particularly in the living room, the front door would be behind me, and the rest of the living room sort of went towards you lovely people. And there would be down the hall that led to my bedroom and the bathroom, the kitchen, and then my mom's room, right? Now, here's the important part. If my back is to the door, in front of me was one single window. Over here were two single windows together. They were like the double windows, right? And then right over here was another set of a pair of windows together. Now, I'm out there, I'm in my living room doing dance routines. I did all kinds of stuff when I was a kid. So I'm doing like my own dance routines in my head. I was like, I'm a superstar. So that was me, and I'm just having fun, playing around, and I'm goofing off, and I remember facing the door, and then I stopped, right? Now here is where it gets messed up, because it really messed up my head when I was a kid. So for those of you who have seen The Conjuring, and I mean the second Conjuring, there's a particular scene in there, if you haven't seen it, I'm sure you can click somewhere on YouTube, where she's having a dream, she's having a vision, and the demon is sort of taunting her, right? So she's actually in her husband's office in this particular vision, and before she finally gets to face the demon, what she sees is the room is, what I see is that the room is similarly set up to how it was when this incident happened to me. And in this particular scene in the movie, she sees the demon's shadow walk across the room. Now at first, where it appears behind her there should be sunlight. And if you notice, the actress checks behind her to see if the shadow is casting, because that's your human thought. And she watches the shadow walk across the room to the point where there are no more windows behind her, so therefore the light could not be casted. Keep this in mind. If you haven't seen it, watch that little scene and then keep in mind what I'm about to tell you. So I'm dancing, I'm having my fun, right? I'm just, goofing off, being a kid. So I stop and I see a huge shadow. The same man with the same hat, but I see him cast it up on the ceiling, up here. Right? And what was so weird is that I only saw the same half of him that I saw in the window blind. So I stop what I'm doing and I just stare at him. I just stare at him because I don't know what else to do. My instinct is to flip my hair. I look behind me because that's where the window is. That's where the single window is. And my same exact thought then was the same way it was that Halloween night. It has to be so-and-so with the hat. It's a sunny day. Obviously a shadow is being casted. Don't ask me how I thought the sun reflected off the ground and casted a shadow upwards onto the ceiling, but I was providing the logic that seemed necessary at the time. So I'm staring at the shadow. It's not moving, right? And I'm still kind of like in the center of the room, so I can see it over there. And I'm going back, I'm going forward, I'm looking back, I'm looking forward, and then this happens. The shadow starts to move in this direction. And I'm watching it, and instinctively I'm just sort of kind of just doing these like 1 numbers. So as the shadow is moving across the wall, I keep looking behind me to check the windows, because I'm thinking someone's obviously walking around the house, and clearly the sunlight is so powerful that it reflected off of the concrete, okay, and casted a shadow up on the ceiling. Obviously that's exactly what happened. So it's moving across the wall. I'm watching it, and I'm watching it, and I'm watching it, and I'm still doing this back and forth, back and forth. I don't see nobody, there's no cars, there's nothing happening, right? So my heart stopped when it moved to this wall, because there was no logic in my head that explained why there was a shadow on that wall when, one, we only had but one bad ceiling light. There were no windows behind me. There was nothing to cast an upward shadow up towards the ceiling on the other wall. So once I made that realization, because the shadow, when it moved across the ones with the windows behind me, and I'm doing this back and forth, it was moving almost kind of slow, almost as if it was kind of taunting me. But as soon as it got to that wall, which is a little closer to me, it started to move a little faster. So now you have like a casual pace, casual pace, casual pace, and then it just goes from this pace to making its way straight towards me. And now that it's on this wall, I see it move to the wall behind me. That was enough for me. I was like, oh, I'm out. Like, I was gone. I bolted as fast as I could. I run down the hall, I grab my mother, and I said, there's a man on the wall, there's a man on the wall. I'm freaking out, I'm trying to tell her, we get out there, nobody is there. So I'm feeling kind of just, like, now I look like a complete whack job, right? My mom's like, oh, it's probably just your imagination. You know, it wasn't taken too seriously, and I'm freaking out, and I'm like, no, there was a man on the wall. It's just, what do you mean there was a man on the wall? Like, he was up there, just like hanging out and moving. I thought he was gonna grab me. I don't know, he scared me. You know, and at first my mom really thought maybe there was somebody outside. She's like, maybe it's probably like, you know, like a shadow or something that cast out when somebody passed by. Like, she thought of all the things. That didn't make any sense to me, and I was just like, sure, whatever. Years down the line, we moved to another apartment. I see the exact same man, but now I see him full-bodied, and he's a big guy. Doesn't speak, doesn't do anything to me. This time now I'm in high school. My closet door was very, very messed up. It was one of those ones that, like, you know, you had like the rolling doors and you're like, oh, I can slide it open, ha ha ha, I feel so cool, that kind of thing. So the rails that the door slid on was actually broken, so you couldn't slide it. You actually had to lift the thing, slide it to open it as well as to close it. It was a very, I hated that closet because it was always messed up. One night, I'm laying in my bed, minding my business, and my bedroom used to be like very, very narrow for that particular one in high school, right? It was very narrow, so my bed was actually in the center of the room. The closet's over here. There was my regular door, and then there was a back door that stayed locked. I'm laying in my bed, and then I hear the sound of my closet door opening. So now I'm just sort of laying in the bed like, and I realize that's my closet door. So I'm thinking to myself, I didn't hear my mother get up. I didn't hear her come into the room. What is opening my closet door? Sure enough, I carefully look over, even though I didn't want to. I look over. Who do I see standing there? The man with the black hat. And ever since then, consistently, no matter where I've ever laid my head, I've always seen this exact same man open the closet doors, and he walks right through. He doesn't do nothing to me. He's never done anything to me. He just watches me. I used to live with one of my ex-boyfriends out in Queens, New York, and I had a very heavy closet door. And he used to, you know, sort of tease me like, baby, I'll protect you. And I'm like, because he didn't believe in anything. But it's a little unnerving to try to tell someone that you're gonna protect them when you can't even see what I'm being scared of. And my door was very heavy. It was like kind of one of those doors where they have to like put your foot on like pink, like open up the door kind of thing. That's how heavy that door was. It was always like messed up. I used to have to get him to come open it. Same thing, I'm laying in the bed, click click, like as if it was nothing, like, and again, the same man with the black hat. Saw him in high school, in college, and once in college and then once in middle school, he put his hand on my chest. Only once. The handprint on my chest where it was literally like this. It was a giant hand, and you can see how lovely my tan is. There was actually a white imprint. It looked like my skin had turned white completely. I actually went to school and someone thought that someone had basically bitch slapped me so hard in my chest that it left an imprint. And that imprint stayed there the whole day. The same exact imprint when I saw him again happened again in college. And still to this very day, I have no idea who this man with the black hat is. I see him standing sometimes at the bottom of my bed. I'll see him come out of a closet. It's always kind of like at random. So it's kind of like I have my own little phantom stalker, spy, or whatever the heck he is, and he creeps me out. But yeah, that's my creepy story. I wish I had a better like ending, like, and then I lived happily ever after, because I started YouTube videos. Like, that's not what's gonna happen here. I'm probably still going to see him. The only thing is, I don't know what he wants, and I don't know who he is, but he's just gonna be there. And part of me actually understands that. He's always going to be there. My question is, why? Hey guys, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the my spooky story about the man with the black hat. But it is actually true. I don't give a crap if you believe me or not, okay? Until you're sitting in a room with me and you see him with me or the gargoyles like the girls did, you can shut your trap. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, I know I'm not the only one who's experienced these crazy, weird, spiritual things, but that's gonna be my creepy story for today's episode. Tell me, what things have you seen? If you've seen a gargoyle, or maybe you saw an angel, you know, tell me, share with me your phantom stories, and make sure you become an Applebite, subscribe. You're gonna get more of these wacky stories. I mean, if you're watching this video, you're obviously like a little crazy, just like me, so you might as well just join the family club, become an Applebite. Thank you so much for watching, and you know what? You guys have a great weekend. I have a couple things to do for this weekend, so I'm a little excited. But yeah, thank you so much. Whoop whoop!